This episode is brought to you by the Arvada Center. After a chance meeting, a forbidden romance is ignited between two young lovers. Romeo and Juliet manage to forge a connection across enemy lines. This contemporary take on the timeless love story focuses on the price that the young pay in cycles of violence. Despite the unending feud between their families, they will risk everything to be together. Experience this retelling of Shakespeare's enduring tragedy, Romeo and Juliet, playing February 13th through May 29th at the Arvada Center. Tickets are available now at arvadacenter.org. That's arvadacenter.org. This episode is brought to you by South by Southwest. Ready for discovery? South by Southwest 2026 takes over Austin, Texas this March 12th through the 18th. Expect the unexpected, where innovation, film and TV, music, and culture collide. Hear from global thought leaders, experience unforgettable screenings, and catch your future favorite artist all in 1 week. The 2026 South by Southwest conferences and festivals are a citywide experience built on curiosity and connection that you won't want to miss. Unlock a 10% discount on your innovation badge when you use code CityCast10 at sxsw.com/Denver. Discount on badge price only, not combinable. Terms apply. Start planning your adventure today.
Today is Friday, February 6th. I'm Paul Caroli, and here's what Denver's talking about. Welcome to CityCast Denver, the show about the city that can breathe a sigh of relief. I searched all 21 of my most influential Denverites of the 21st century, and not a single one of them is in the Epstein files.
Paul, I love that.
No mentions.
Paul just has like a tab open with the Epstein files in it that he's just been searching. Like, is this person in there?
Yes.
Is this person in there?
All week. So when someone occurs to me, I'm like, I wonder.
Well,
it's good to know.
It's unfortunate that we have been surprised multiple times. I mean, for me, it was like Noam Chomsky, womp womp.
Yeah.
Then it was like Pusha T.
Pusha T.
Womp womp.
I mean, none of this is verified or anything, but like, yeah, there's a file in there about Pusha T that is not good.
Well,
not good.
I looked at the details of like how he appeared, and he appeared in a tip to the FBI, but it was descriptive of a person, a person waking up in a room. Can you imagine this with Jay-Z and Harvey Weinstein? That's beyond nightmare blunt rotation. That's like the worst thing. I don't know. So yes, I agree. It's complicated, but it's also not.
Yeah.
Just a huge bummer. Just a huge bummer.
There is one I want to talk about. So I said Denver can breathe a sigh of relief. Boulder, not so much. And I think people are seeing the headline, but like Kimball Musk, it's not good.
Oh,
it's really bad.
It's not just like, how you doing, buddy?
The Denver Post reported one of Epstein's friends, Boris Nikolic, replied in an email chain that Kimball Musk, quote, better be nice to the women because, quote, Jeffrey goes crazy when someone mistreats his girls/friends. Kimball Musk replied that he had received the message, quote, wide and clear, and included a winking emoji.
I know. I was just going to say, is this just like, were they pretending to cover for themselves? I think if we know anything about Jeffrey Epstein is that he did not care for human beings that were forcefully against their will in his charge. Jesus.
I reached out to Kimball for an interview. I'd love to hear his explanation of what happened there. He has not gotten back to me, but he did step down from the board of Burning Man, where he has been serving as a member of the board of Burning Man for 4 years.
Burning Man has a board?
I know. But the funniest part about it is...
corporate hippies are way more organized than we realize. The playa doesn't run on its own.
Well, they are now. I mean, ever since the billionaires got involved. The reason why he has a seat is because Elon made a sizable donation in 2021, and Kimball occupies that seat for his brother.
See, I never was down with the burners. Now I get it.
Isn't that just like, ugh?
Oh my God.
All of it. Every aspect of
it sucks. It all sucks.
All of it. But Denver so far, the Denverites I've tried, the influential Denverites, not on the list, not in the files.
Thank God.
Including our guest. Not in the files.
That is brutal, Paul.
What?
What a segue.
I know. I was like, I think Chris gets a little bit more credit and nicer things to say about our guest.
He is the RTD board director for District A, won an election that we covered a couple years ago. And I would say frequently the main character on the Denver subreddit, where he fields questions and offers clarification of RTD policies.
You willingly go on there, Chris, and answer people's questions?
I do. And honestly, as much as one can enjoy being on Reddit, I enjoy being on Reddit.
You and Paul both, my friend.
Yeah, it's fun.
But no, people, it turns out people really enjoy talking about RTD online.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys have a strong, if the RTD was a team, Denver would be going off about it.
The people that care about transit, they just really care about transit.
Respect.
Yeah, they care.
You know, we all got to have our thing.
Yep.
Transit's your thing. Cool.
I don't know if I've introduced you, Bree.
No, it's just me.
Bree Davies is here as well.
I'm a little hyped, I realized, because I didn't drink coffee, but I did chug a Mexican Coke this morning.
Oh, hell yeah.
In my bathroom.
Good. It's good.
So,
I was coming in low energy, and now I'm feeding off you. It's great.
I think a Coca-Cola is the way to go in the morning.
Wish I had one.
Noted. Okay.
Yeah. You know what
I'm
I had
here.
the other day was a cherry float flavored Coke, which was new.
Yeah.
Didn't do it for me.
I want to give an old Denver shout out. There used to be an actual soda fountain here in my childhood in the 80s called Watson's, and I used to get a limeade float there all the time. Chef's kiss. I miss that. Miss a good soda fountain.
I wish someone would open a shop like that now, like to jump on the dirty soda trend, just like the artisanal sodas.
But
make one in front of me. Yeah,
you can sit. Oh, it was so good. It was so great.
I'd
bring
be
back
there.
Watson's.
Anyway, it's the Big Friday show. We're going to round up the biggest news of the week. That includes a possible huge reform to Denver's public transit provider. We're going to do a little bit of this RTD talk for ourselves. Chris is here, of course, is part of the fight that is brewing. Then a new proposal to upzone many Denver neighborhoods. More density could be coming soon. I've done some original reporting we'll talk about. And of course, our wins and fails of the week. Okay. Business, a little bit of business. Just a reminder, we have a membership program.
We do.
If you like the podcast, you care about the newsletter, if you like the content on social media, consider becoming a member today. It's the best way to support what we do at CityCast Denver. Become a neighbor, and you get access to exclusive neighbor-only events.
We just had one. It was awesome. We hung out at Convivio Cafe. I met so many. Our members are really cool, interesting people that I actually would want to talk to. And this gives us a reason to connect with y'all. But I had great conversations about Athmar Park. I had great conversations about traders, all sorts of things that people are watching. Yeah.
What's the name of that guy that's hosting that?
Alan Cumming. Yeah. But at any rate, our listeners and our readers are awesome. And if you join them, you get to come hang out with us. And it's beneficial for us too. We love it. That's where our show, The 21 Most Influential Denverites Idea, came from, right, Paul?
Mm-hmm. That's where it came from. Neighbors, good ideas. So yeah, join for just $10 a month or $100 a year as a discount. Membership.citycast.fm. Plenty of other great perks. Check out that link and learn more. And please do join and support what we do. Membership.citycast.fm. All right, let's get to our top story. Why isn't the damn bus on time? It's time to fight about it. Everyone knows the problems. Denver's public service provider is in serious trouble. Ridership is lagging. Now it's even trending down. RTD is also facing millions in deferred maintenance, likely to cause more slowdowns in the future, and more people to abandon the bus. Ridership will go down even more, likely. Our train-loving governor has less than a year left in office, and he's got one last big transit fight ahead of him. This time it's over a new proposal from a committee of experts. This week they put it forth to the legislature. The idea is to radically reform the RTD board of directors. It would add 4 seats to the board to be appointed by the governor and remove 10 of the 15 seats elected by the people. One of those is one that you occupy, Chris. So that's the first question. Is this personal for you?
No. I think, the thing to remember here is that all of us on the RTD board got elected because we want to fix public transit. Sure, I have, my back and forth with Jared Polis. I supported him pretty hardcore when he first ran. And I've been a big fan of a lot of the things that he's done, especially on housing.
How about the tweets?
His or mine?
His.
His. I mean, look, there's some choices that he's made that I would have made differently.
Bree's giving eyebrows.
I mean, we study them anthropologically. I don't think Chris necessarily is in that boat. I mean, like, there's a lot. You say his tweets, that's a lot of things.
Look, I defending his veto of vaccine mandates, not necessarily something I would do in the middle of measles outbreaks, but everybody's different.
Okay.
Everybody has bad opinions occasionally. I'm sure I have some too. But, we had this conversation 2 years ago. It didn't go his way. My hope is that this time, we can all listen to each other a little better than maybe happened in 2024 and have a better conversation.
You're referring to the last time he proposed a reform that you then criticized. You and former Speaker Terrence Carroll criticized it as racist because he was proposing to put at-large seats on the RTD board.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know that I use that exact word exactly, but, when you take a region that's overwhelmingly white and overwhelmingly suburban, and you shrink down the number of seats from, 15 to 5 or 3, you end up drawing districts that are overwhelmingly white and overwhelmingly suburban.
Right. And that's not what they did this time. This time it's a whole new idea, whole new fight. Bree, what do you think? Does this feel new to you? Does this feel like a bigger thing or same old with RTD?
I mean, just listening to your interview with Maria Garcia-Berry and Jamie Lewis about this conversation, I was just pulled in both ways the whole time because I generally believe democracy is the best way to get representation. But at the same time, I heard them, and I've experienced this myself, people not even knowing what the board is. Had they voted on it? They don't know. Did they write somebody in? Maybe. And they talked about that in this interview with you, Paul, that it's historically has been something hard to get people engaged in from even the side to be on the board, not just the voters. So I don't know where I land, but I did feel the concerns over representation, absolutely, because in the end of the day, will the voters be represented enough? But at the same time, is there a better way to manage this board that it can get more done? Because that was the other thing I kept hearing was like, it's maybe too big and wieldy to get things done.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it's a really still a good question. What's the best way?
Yeah, it's such a good argument too, because everyone has a good point to make on all sides of it. Like putting more power in the hands of the governor and that he would appoint these experts, that sounds good. Some people with, experts over someone who won 300 votes to get their seat. I get that. But then you look at Bennett and Weiser's, I'll call him, I wanted to say Big Gulp Phil Weiser. I think I'm going to get going. I looked at their websites on transit policy. Bennett has not a single word about it.
Not true. I looked.
You found something?
Yes. He has a section called More Choices for Low-Cost Transportation. Fix the roads. Sure. Build homes closer to jobs and transit. Okay, not a great argument here. Expand affordable transit options. And he name drops expanding BRT, busing services, expanding transit alternatives. So it's not nothing.
Okay.
But then you go to Weiser's page and it is extremely detailed and name checks RTD and how it works. And I found him to just have more details on what he might do. And he did call out Front Range Passenger Rail specifically.
He's excited about it?
Yes, he said he's going to get it done.
Okay.
Said shovels in the ground or something. And I think he's calling back to the debacle that was fast tracks and how voters felt about the outcome of that. And so, I mean, looking at both of them, I would say Weiser seems to be a little bit more in touch with it. I don't know what that remains to be seen. He hasn't been elected yet. We don't know. Well,
and I will say, Phil has phenomenal staff. I really appreciate Teddy Weiss is a friend of mine, and Phil's done a good job of putting together a team that can get familiar with these kinds of things. I think Senator Bennett has worked on transit and transportation policy for 15 years and has honestly a lot of the funding that RTD gets from the federal government has come from his work. Full disclosure, I'm a huge supporter of Michael Bennett.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think he'll be way better as a partner than Phil Weiser. But that's a longer conversation. The question I have for both of them, and really for the legislature more broadly, is how much of a role do they want to play in addressing the long-term challenges that RTD faces? Because, SEPTA out in Philadelphia all of the systems in Northern California, CTA in Chicago, everybody is really facing the same issue of a lack of funding, a lot of deferred maintenance, huge fiscal challenges on the long term. And if the legislature and the governor want to come in and take over RTD, and, let's be clear, if you get 4 seats on a board, you functionally have to pick off one elected official and then you control RTD. It becomes their responsibility to come up with the tens of billions of dollars that RTD will need over the next 20 years. And, seeing how poorly that went for Josh Shapiro in Philadelphia and in Pennsylvania just recently, where they basically failed to solve the problem, I honestly question whether, these institutions of government and the people who are going to be in them for the next 10 years, see that as their problem, because they're very much about to make it their problem if these reforms go through. I think the people who are most impacted by RTD and by the challenges that I was just talking about are actually the cities and the counties, because they're who we run our buses on. Those are the citizens that are late or on time, able to get to work or groceries or whatever. And so, it's not really a surprise to me that some of the biggest question marks that have come out of the discussion last time, and even just so far over the last couple of weeks, are coming from municipalities saying, where are we at the table for this kind of thing?
Well, interesting point. I liked your point about they seem to want the power, but maybe they're not ready for the bill to come due. That's what comes with the power, is that responsibility.
Yeah. I mean, to quote, one of my favorite movies, with great power comes great responsibility. And, it's
The Godfather.
Yes, exactly. With Tobey Maguire. Yeah. But
Bree's wouldn't know. None of them.
Movies, not really.
I think it might actually be from the comics, but admittedly, I've never read them. I will say it's also easier to be having this conversation when you're, going to be, flushed down the toilet of public office in 10 months, like Jared Polis is, and won't have to be the guy solving this issue. But, I do think it should make legislators, especially the ones who are new, ask whether or not, because even if you're giving it to the governor, functionally, it puts the burden on the state to fund public transportation.
The money question is huge. I mean, the money question, at some point, we're going to have to pay more. Bree, do you think there's appetite?
Like in taxes, or like in riding the bus? Or
I mean, it's going to be taxes in some form or another. We as Coloradans will have to pay more to maintain the network that we have.
I would disagree with that and just say the other option is that we just, stop running half of our public transit in the next 10 years.
Bree?
I think, but I do think, yes, it is most likely necessary. I mean, money is the biggest thing, it seems, although from the report, it didn't feel like that was really directly being addressed. But there's so much baggage for what hasn't happened that if you are a voter who's been here since 2004, even if you don't ride the bus, you're going to be like, well, they didn't do it before. Where'd all that money go? They didn't make they didn't finish this promise. What is light rail? Like, where does it go? Like, it's a hard sell to people that don't ride the bus, but that's the crux of the problem, right? Is you need more people to ride the bus to, like, it's just this balance. And it's a hard sell.
It's a really hard sell. Well, take us inside the negotiations that are about to come, because, I assume the RTD board is going to engage in this. That means going down and talking to lawmakers about this proposal, to see how they feel. And then I know the other factor is the governor wants some money from RTD for the Front Range passenger rail project. So how are these negotiations going to play out, Chris?
Yeah, absolutely. So in addition to being the board member for Central Denver, I'm also the board secretary. So I'm one of the members of leadership. And I've been appointed by our chair, Patrick O'Keefe, as one of the 2 members of the legislative committee. So I'll myself, along with Lynn Geisinger, are the 2 members who will be negotiating with the legislature and the governor on this and all of the other bills that are coming this year that are going to impact RTD. So I think that, the critical thing here is, we're just getting started in this process. But one of the one of the things that feels different about this time is the degree to which the individuals are not coming at it from a suburban versus Denver perspective. The two main senators on the bill, Matt Ball and Iman Judah, are both from
Central Denver and Aurora.
Exactly. Urban centers, places where people really heavily depend on transit. Matt used to work for Mayor Mike Johnston, has a really stellar reputation in the community. He's my state senator. And he's someone that I really trust alongside Senator Judah to play this one straight. And so I think that, what I'll be looking for is the degree to which they really get out into community, sit down with all of the stakeholders who were ignored 2 years ago, and try to put something together that nobody's going to love. Nobody's going to be like, I got everything I wanted, but that focuses on addressing the core problems and challenges that, honestly, the board has a better sense of than almost anybody else, because we're in the soup. We're living it. The majority of the board, I think it's 9-10 members, were not even on the board 15 months ago. We have turned over the majority of the RTD board in just over a year. And we've experienced all the challenges and frustrations that I think a lot of people...
So are you going to support it or oppose it?
Depends on what we get. You bring me a pepperoni pizza, I'll be happy about it. You bring me a shit sandwich, I'll probably reject it.
Is this a shit sandwich? 5 elected members and 4 appointed by the governor?
A lot of my responsibility in this conversation is to represent the board, not just what I personally think. So I'm going to stay away from characterizing specifically one proposal over another, because I want to make sure that what we're doing, and what honestly, I will say this, we had some great people working on behalf of the board 2 years ago in these conversations. I don't feel like the voice of the board was really effectively heard by the public in those conversations. And one of the things that I'm intending to do alongside Lynn Geisinger is really make sure that, not just people inside the building, but the general public understands where we're coming from, the experience that we've had and what we know about this conversation, and tries to articulate in a really helpful way, why we feel the way that we do. So I think the board has the opportunity and really the responsibility to
Chris, I think you're dodging all the meaningful parts of this.
Ask me again and I'll...
What is the part that matters? What is the fight going to be about?
I mean, the fight's going to be about how many elected members of the board, how many appointed members of the board. The fight's going to be about pay. Is the other, big factor.
The pay of the board?
Yeah, absolutely. The pay of the chair.
Okay.
The role of the chair is a full-time job. There's no ifs and buts about it. The person who is in that chair is, practically speaking, working a full-time job, and they get paid as much as I do. Mm-hmm. And no surprise, that makes it really hard to recruit great people to take on that responsibility.
Yeah, that's $12,000 a year is what we read the other day.
Which is crazy to me. I don't think any elected position is ever a part-time job. When there's like part-time city council people, I'm like, there's no way. You don't walk out of the room and you're not a city council member. You know what I mean? Like, it's a little bit lower stakes for an RTD board, but it still is a question of, are people getting paid enough to put in the work that needs to be done? And it makes a difference. I mean, you still have to pay your rent. You're going to have another job, So...
Yeah. If we don't want a landed gentry running all of government, we do have to be able to compensate people so that they can take their time away from their families, away from their other jobs, hobbies, et cetera, to do this.
Yeah. I wonder. I feel like, the lawmakers who are going to make this call, like, they're pretty mad at RTD. Mm-hmm. They're pretty mad at the RTD leadership. That's where I think is going to be important to watch, is like, who are they most mad at? Who do they really think is responsible? Is it you and your colleagues on the board, or is it Deborah Johnson who runs RTD?
Well, and I think that, there's...
I'm just thinking about what that all means, like, what are they mad at? And I'm going back to your conversation that you had earlier this week, Paul, with the members of the committee, is like, RTD can't even attract good drivers because it's clearly not a work environment people want to be in.
Yeah,
Their
that's
retention
bullshit.
rate sucks. You think?
I do think it's bullshit. And I mean, I say this as someone who is, like this pin that I'm wearing is the ATU 1001 pin. I have a close relationship with Lance Longenbahn, the head of the union. This is a challenge. Recruiting great people is a challenge for every transit agency in the country. And pay is a significant challenge for every transit agency in the country. RTD just gave our union workers a 6% raise, or six, I think it's 6.5 this last year. And we have a very high cost of living here. So we're the largest challenge is being able to keep up with a salary that people want to take in an economy where, in a region where, $26 an hour is a good amount of money, but there's a lot of jobs out there that pay more. UPS pays more than we do. So I think that, our retention rates for operators who've been there for 2-3 years are actually really high. And, I give a lot of credit to RTD management over the last couple of years for changing the culture around it, for raising pay. When GM CEO Johnson took over, we were paying really, really shitty salaries. And she worked hard to raise those salaries. The trade-off there is we can't hire as many operators because we're spending more money on each one, but retention gets better. And these are the sorts of...
That's interesting. I haven't heard that. Normally you hear what Bree said. That's what everyone says.
Yeah,
That's what we heard from
it's what
Maria Garcia Berry said.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Maria Garcia Berry understands some of what she's talking about. And I appreciate her as a human being, but...
I mean, she was there at the beginning of RTD, to be fair.
And a lot has changed about our country and technology and, my hairline in the last 40 years. Like I said, Maria understands what she understands, but the realities of RTD are a lot bigger. And someone who is a professional lobbyist may not have a full-sized understanding about the operational challenges of running a transit agency, especially when I've never seen her show up to an RTD board meeting in the entire time that we've been working on this and talking about this.
Well, you could say that for a lot of people. I'm watching the money. I think this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always skeptical of democracy, tinkering, systems changing like this. The whole proposal, I'm skeptical. Unless money comes up, I'm not. I don't know if I'm getting optimistic about that. That's me personally. But we got to move on.
Yeah.
We got to move on. We got to go to a break. We're going to talk about something else after this break. But if you have an opinion about RTD, I know you do. We've been hearing from folks all week since we've been talking about this. Let us know. Leave us your name, your neighborhood on a text or a voicemail. That's 720-500-5418. Again, your name, your neighborhood, your take on how to fix RTD. 720-500-5418. Now time for that break.
This episode is brought to you by MultiPass. Proudly based in Denver and deeply rooted in the local event and creative scene, MultiPass is designed with both event producers and attendees in mind. Want to go to a cool comedy show, see an up-and-coming musician, or take a fun yoga class? The MultiPass events calendar is full of great stuff to do. Meet other people who like the same stuff you do through its unique community chat feature, which unlocks once you RSVP. So you can buy tickets, make plans, and meet some new friends. MultiPass has revenue-sharing tools built in, which automatically splits ticket revenue between producers, performers, promoters, and solves cash flow issues with same-day payouts. MultiPass is designed to help everyone in the event ecosystem win, not just the platform. Learn more at multipass.com. That's multipass.com.
And we're back. Okay, time for another hot topic. Very much linked to our previous conversation about transportation, upzoning. As a new density fight is brewing in Lakewood, they're going to be voting on a whole density thing April 7th. Housing density advocates here in Denver are plotting a possible ballot measure to start a similar fight here. Denverite reported this week that a couple of members of YIMBY Denver are working on a ballot measure that, if it gets to a vote and passes, would upzone thousands of properties across the city, allowing owners to build duplexes, triplexes, dodecaplexes, sesquicentenniplexes, and more.
That's Paul's shout out to our birthday.
Yeah,
our state's birthday this
that's
year.
A housing apartment complex with 250 or 150.
Excellent.
I still don't know what it means.
I don't either.
But yeah, it's the anniversary of something this year, I've heard. What do we think? Are Denverites going to go for this, Bree?
I don't know. I was trying to think like who would be the opposition to this, because there's like there are people that push against density all the time, but who's the organized opposition to this? Like,
Mm-hmm.
who's the grumpy neighbor that doesn't want anything about their block to change? Is that person going to organize a full-scale campaign against this? I don't know.
I'm thinking about my neighbor who will definitely oppose this. No, he's not going to organize, but he is going to tell all of his friends who feel similarly that he'll probably say in an email with all caps, this is bullshit.
But I'm trying to think, what is the realistic opposition going to look like? You know what I mean? Because of course, I mean, I want this. I think most folks that want more affordable housing want it, but it just changes when it comes down to your personal situation. I hear this so often, and it's annoying, but it's real. Like, I want that, just not right here.
Yeah. I
want affordable housing, just not right here, which is like why my neighborhood has a ton of it, because my neighbors don't, I've never even had a conversation with one of my neighbors about density. It doesn't seem to so it's very specific.
They're just like, not an issue. We're getting by.
Yeah, like everybody's kind of minding their own. But I mean, there's literally an affordable housing complex at the end of our block. There's one you can see from my porch. They are all part of our neighborhood already. But my neighborhood is one of the neighborhoods that tends to get more. So are these neighborhoods that don't have this density going to all of a sudden be game for it? I don't know.
I feel like it's the neighborhoods that are more like in the on the north side, where you're getting the scrapes and
where
you're getting the duplexes.
It's been really jarring for people. I think so. I mean, I want to respect that position as well, because people have experienced this thing where like their neighborhood changes drastically and then all of a sudden they can't afford it. And like, that's a reality of it too. And I think that's a genuine concern. Is that a push against density? Not necessarily. It's just like, is this going to change my neighborhood so much I can't even be here anymore because nothing's for me? Like, I don't know. I didn't have that experience. That didn't happen to my grandma's house. Mm-hmm. My grandma's house is in your neighborhood, Paul, which is a bunch of single family homes. Although in the last
getting more town.
In the last 10 years, you've gotten a lot more townhomes, which is crazy to me in a good way to see that happening for Virginia Village. So maybe we look at Virginia Village and say, yeah, maybe Denverites are ready for this.
It could take more. There's certain plots, there's certain lands where it definitely it feels natural to be doing it. It's the one where it's like single family home, 12-plex, single family home.
That like, it's like pushed up against the line, you know what I mean? It's like on the sidewalk basically, and then it's up your neighbors all of a sudden looking into your backyard. Like, whether we like it or not, that has an impact on how people feel about housing. Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out, like, is there organized opposition?
Chris, what do you think? Are Denverites going to go for this?
Well, I mean, there was a measure a couple of years ago on group living, which I think is a good sort of test case for how people feel about increasing density. And, we won that campaign by, I think, about 20 points in Denver. I'm one of the, very active members of YIMBY Denver and have been for, 6 years now. The people who are running this are good friends of mine. And I think that, the answer is that, so YIMBY did some polling, actually.
Last year, I remember we covered it.
And voters like this. It's reasonable.
Especially if they're whiter, more male, and more affluent. When you look at the crosstabs of that poll, I remember it well. That's who likes this.
Yeah. And what I'll say is, I think, this is the start of a conversation. It would not surprise me if, as we did with the public financing measure, if this gets the signatures, I would be near certain that council says, we're going to pull this, we're going to pass it, and then we're going to pass some other housing, setbacks, things like that at the same time to make it more palatable for people to address some of the concerns that you guys are raising. I think people recognize that we don't have enough housing. And one of the best ways to get more of it is to let people build more of it. There are problems, obviously, with the concerns that we're talking about. But we have such a shortage right now that, taking baby steps is insufficient.
I love the group living idea as a push towards this. I did live in this situation, though, and I was a huge advocate of this as well. I lived in a communal home for 8 years with 7 other people illegally, technically. I never thought of it as a density conversation. It's so different to me than when something gets built next to you versus what your neighbors are doing in their house. There's tons of people I talked about this on the show when this was going through the legislative process. tons of people in my neighborhood do group living. It's just not called that. It's called sharing a home because this is what we can afford. So I don't know if that is going to make that connection for people. I wish it would.
But to your point earlier, there was an organized opposition to that. I mean, it wasn't successful, but that was the like safe and clean Denver. I think that was like where the roots of Do Better Denver started, where folks were involved in that. So would that be the opposition?
Is the Do Better Denver types?
I think so.
Who hate homeless people, but don't want to see them, but don't want to find any place for them to live?
That's the whole problem. Is like everyone agrees affordable housing, homelessness is like the biggest issues in the city. There's polling all day long about this, but the policy solutions is where people disagree what to do about it. So this is one idea.
Yeah. And I mean, maybe it's a step. Maybe it's the step that doesn't get passed, but it's the beginning of, because like, I'm trying to think, we were talking about something else a couple of years ago that couldn't have been feasible 10 years ago, but now is the norm. So maybe it's the step towards it. I was trying to think about this in relationship to the mayor's, was it 2R? The affordability tax did not pass. Even though people
another great example.
People said, we want more affordable housing. We don't want to pay for it this way. And so was that a step? Maybe. I don't know. Was it a step back? I don't know. Like I just am uncertain. Like my hope is that we could do something like this. And I always give this example. People think a place like Wash Park doesn't have this already. There's tons of beautiful duplexes in Wash Park, fourplexes in Wash Park. They exist in neighborhoods you don't think would have density. It's not the most, it's not enough, but there are examples where it's done well. And I think that's, again, part of the problem. The visual aspect of it is like, it's really easy sell to say it's ugly.
I went to a party a couple of years ago. I'm a former member of the Gay Men's Chorus, and our holiday party was in this gorgeous, like, 8-bedroom mansion owned by a benefactor of the place. And one of the things that they told us when we first came in was that this actually used to be a 6-plex that they converted.
They converted it to
to a single family.
We've seen that happen so much in the last 10 years in Denver, or 15 years. Those Victorians that were broken up get undone again. And so that's an interesting thing
we
to think
can build density that looks really, really nice. You just have to put in place the incentives and you have to put in place the rules that make it possible. I am absolutely certain that in the fancy parts of my district, like Hilltop, that we could build things that would be gorgeous. And sure, you'd be spending $700,000 on a condo in Hilltop, but it would be a lot cheaper than the $5 million you spend on a single family home,
There's condos in Cherry Creek. There's duplexes in Cherry Creek.
I know people that live in Hilltop, and I know what the response is like, yeah, it's a $5 million home now, but if I try to sell it and there's a duplex next to it, it's a $4.5 million home. You're taking money out of my retirement saving, my kids, whatever. I don't know what people with $5 million homes use their money for.
It's just not true. Like if you actually look at the property records and the history of development, all that kind of stuff. I mean, people say the same thing about BRT, and property values go up when you build rapid transit. They don't go down. And so, people, at the end of the day, people just don't like living next to other people. They would like to have an acre of land on all sides of their property if they could. And you just don't get to tell other people what to do with their stuff.
So this is like a Denver style problem, because I'm thinking about the millionaires that live next to each other in San Francisco and New York City and places where density it's been a factor since it was, since those cities were founded. It's so, we're talking about individual personalities, which makes it very difficult to think about what is really going to be the overarching.
It's a cultural issue.
Yeah.
It's a cultural issue as much as it is economics. So I mentioned I did some original reporting on this because last year when we talked about that YIMBY survey, I checked with the community planning development and I asked, I don't remember actually how I heard about it. I don't remember who told me about it, but it was like, hey, by the way, this whole upzoning thing is like something the city's already working on. So I asked them at the time, what's going on? And there were these planners. There was a team of planners who were already working on this initiative. They were going to take it out to the communities and do like different open houses and start working on what would have been a multi-year process to hopefully, in their minds, bring upzoning to single-family home dense or not very dense neighborhoods all across the city. So I checked in with them this week. That initiative has been significantly scaled back because
why? Yeah, I'm like, why?
Of the layoffs last year.
Oh, so there's just nobody to work on it.
There's no one to work on it in the department anymore. It's just down to these two guys. And so they've downscaled all the way down to what they're trying to do is, and they're trying to get this to city council before the end of the year, a measure that would allow more housing on a plot when the primary structure is retained. Basically ADUs on steroids.
Yeah, no scrapes, basically. Or like they're trying to avoid the scrape?
In this first measure, they're saying this would be hey, you can build a bigger ADU, or maybe you can build a residence that is like on the side of your house, like to fill your lot up with a secondary residence that you could sell. So they want to do that. And then the other thing is scrapes and building duplexes and triplexes, but only if they are affordable housing, if they're only to be available for people at a certain AMI.
I don't think that would ever. That's interesting. I love it.
I know, right? That was my question too. Is like, who's going to be building these? What's the feasibility?
Like, you're not tearing down a multi-million-dollar. This happened to my friend's mom. They tore down her beautiful multi-million-dollar mansion that she sold to someone, and they're not building for a fourplex there. They're building another multi-million-dollar mansion.
Look, I respect Mike a lot. I've
mayor.
known him. Yes, the
mayor, Mike Johnson.
Mayor Mike Johnston.
You're apparently on first name basis with,
we.
with Mike.
I supported him. He was a big supporter of mine. I've known him for a good number of years now. A huge fan. It would take a very simple change to the zoning code to say fourplexes everywhere in the city. Like, the reason when they say they can't do it, it's because they want to go through enough process to get people comfortable with it. And that's the hard part.
Exactly.
And I don't care. And part of the reason I think you're seeing this initiative come forward is out of the question of, are we moving fast enough?
Yeah, just do it already.
It's all
political.
Right. And I mean, look, if we weren't in a massive housing crisis, I would say, okay, let's accommodate the NIMBYs. Let's be reasonable. Let's take our time. But we're in a massive housing crisis. And at a certain point, we should do what even Republican states like Montana have done and just legalize housing in as many places as possible, as quickly as possible. And I'm not a big fan of let's go through process just to make NIMBYs happy. I don't buy it.
Well, to your point, the couple of quotes from these planners, they told me, we still want to have more housing types without the caveats, but those bigger changes take more work to be sustainable in the long-term process. Yes, exactly. We don't want a situation like Lakewood or Littleton where they go public with something and then there's enormous pushback.
Which is what's happening in Lakewood right now.
Exactly.
It's to repeal a zoning change that would have allowed for more development.
Yeah.
We're not Lakewood. We're not. This is a hugely democratic city that has much, much stronger support for density than places outside of, Denver. I get that people are going to be running for re-election in 2027, and there's a degree of I don't want to rock the boat in advance of that kind of thing, and I just don't care that much.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing they said is like they've synced up their current plan, this downscaled process, so it will come to a conclusion right before the mayoral election, and whoever wins would then be able to do their own thing. Push further if they want, basically.
I'm just thinking about the conversations we had with Councilwoman Sandoval a couple years ago, and it was such a big deal that she cared about zoning. I just remember that being like, it was just and this was about talking about reforming the board that made decisions about ADUs. And that was the whole process. And I remember that, we had this great story with this couple that was just trying to build an ADU for their mom.
Oh, I remember them.
They were lovely.
That was nice.
And they were like, literally, we're just trying to build an ADU, but the zoning code says that we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't do this and we can't do that. I just think about what a big deal that was. But we have come farther from that. And that was only a couple years ago. So, maybe there will be an appetite for it.
If this measure gets on the ballot, if my friends can get 10,000 signatures or whatever it is, it'll pass. It'll absolutely pass.
You think?
100%.
I think it depends how they write it. I think people will see upzoning in my neighborhood and they'll have second thoughts.
Freak out.
Because in the abstract, everyone wants more affordable housing. Everyone wants to have lower bills, But when it gets to my neighborhood, and I just have in my head, I think the mayor thinks this too. You see his moves on street safety. I talked about this last week, got some blowback from listeners. But I think there is this silent majority out there that likes driving in their cars, likes their single family home, and doesn't want to think about this policy crap that much. They like the city the way it is.
So I talked to Amy Ford a lot about this, and
The head of the Department of Transportation and
yes,
Infrastructure.
and Alameda does run through my district, that whole section. So I've
Spicy.
engaged on this matter. I think that the city did not do a good enough job really articulating the, like you said, the sort of silent majority that was out there. And then there was some work that was done by a particular member of
Jillian Schutz.
yes,
billionaire's daughter-in-law.
also a constituent, who made even more noise, essentially. And the city went, oh God, it was we favored one side. Now we're hearing even more from this side.
Yeah.
And so, I don't buy the notion that, Jill picked up the phone and talked to Mike and said, do this. And he, turned over. I think what happened was, when you have resources, you can get your neighbors really ginned up about something in a way that they might not have otherwise
Does
been.
Jill even have neighbors? How big is her plot?
It's a long walk to the neighbor's house. But
Okay.
yeah, you can
All right.
from the one mansion to the next.
And so I just, I think there was a process failure there.
What would you do now? Would you fire Amy Ford, or would you do a different pilot, or roll back to the original plan? How do you fix this if you're in charge?
No, I wouldn't fire Amy Ford. I think Amy's a really talented leader for that department. And I think that if you get in the habit of firing talented people because they screwed up once, you're going to scare everyone else into never taking any risks or never doing anything risky. And that's a perspective that I've had at RTD, of trying to encourage our people to take risks, make mistakes, not with the scary stuff like safety, but, we should be encouraging people to sort of do their best. So I think that, this is something that we can rectify. This is something that if the mayor and Amy really take time to understand, listen to the community. Look, I support the original plan. It's a lot safer to walk across the street as a pedestrian when you only have to cross, 2 lanes of traffic.
So you do the original plan, say the Ann Schutz plan, forget them. Sorry, we should have never gone to this new plan.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
But and this is the thing that I'll say, I don't live there. And we have a planning process, love it or hate it, that cares a lot about what the people who live there think. And so, there's a different thing if we are going to be gods in the sky saying this is what I think is best versus what does the community actually want. And I think that what the city tried to do was be responsive to what they thought the community actually wanted.
I think that this would have gone a lot better if Jillian Schutz was there at the jump 5 years ago talking about this. That is what looks the worst to me, is like, it does look like the city bent over for her, because that came in way after the 5 years of planning and open houses and all these participatory parts that the city, the people that really care about changing Alameda were there for. And that's where I feel their frustration is. They're like, well, then where were you?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I don't know if that's a real legit process. If Jillian Schutz and her alleged lobbyist can jump in there at last minute after everything's been done and say, this isn't fair to me. Like, this is, I worked in planning. I worked in community outreach. The biggest thing you hear is, no one told me. Oh, you didn't get the 5 flyers we put on your door? Nobody told me. You didn't get.
But does that mean that you don't listen to them now? I think that's the issue. And like,
I don't know,
just because
man.
they have more power.
5 years of planning?
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing the mayor's got to live with.
You're
That's
late.
the thing that's
You
going to be on
lose.
his record, is like, he did listen to these people that pushed back last minute. He
Last
did roll
minute.
it back. And regardless, whether it's because she's a billionaire or not, whether that's a systemic or a personal issue, that's on his record. And we want to hear from you. What do you think?
Oh my God, do we?
720-500-5418. We've heard from so many people on what they think about it.
Let's hear about upzone.
Yeah,
do you feel
upzoning.
how this upzoning ballot? How would this go if it gets to the ballot?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
720-500-5418. One more break and then wins and fails. And we're back. Time for the best way to end the week. My favorite thing that we do, at least. No, my second favorite. My first favorite is the Tuesday show.
Which you're not watching or listening to right now.
I mean, you can, when we do listener comments and questions, so please do comment. We love doing that on Tuesdays.
We like all our shows equally, Paul.
Those are my top 2.
Okay.
But right now we're doing wins and fails. Rocky Mountain highs and lows. Each of us brought a recent local something we think is a win and another we think is a fail, and we're going to talk about them. Bree, I'd like to hear your fail first.
Your mom's house, not your actual mom's house.
What about her?
Not Ann's house. Your Mom's House, the venue,
Yeah.
has been seized by the city for back taxes. This is a fail for me just because it's like temporary, hopefully, closure of another independently run venue where people were being booked. But also those people, allegedly, many of those artists were not getting paid by this woman, Jill, that owns this space. And I don't know. Anytime I see this happen, I think like, what could have happened a year ago or 2 years ago that could have stopped this from happening? Because there were shows booked there. People were counting on that space, and now it's closed, and it kind of sucks. I mean, my dream is like maybe maybe Andy and Scott at the Oriental and the Federal are like, let's buy another small venue so that we can have another space to book a smaller room. But
is there part of you that's like, what if it was Bree's house?
No. If I was going to run a venue, it would be an all ages venue, and I don't think it would be on 13th. I would like one in my neighborhood. There is one in my neighborhood already, to be fair, D3. But I would love for someone in the community to be able to buy it and open it like a Mono Sagrados type space. But this saga has just been really sucky. Although the one part I thought was funny was Patty, our friend at Westward, reported that they had threatened to sue Westward too for, I guess, running the story about it. But Patty has not seen a lawsuit yet. So I don't know. Just get it together, man. Pay some people. Get that venue back open. I don't know. Do better.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I think that story's not over.
Oh, for sure.
I think it'll have a happy ending though too, because like
hope so.
It's a great spot, and I think people liked doing shows there. That's why she got into so many of these arrangements that she then failed to uphold her obligations.
And it's been a historically great venue for the last at least 40 years that I know of. It was an incarnation of the Mercury Cafe. I went there when it was called the Snake Pit. There was Beauty Bar, Malfunction Junction. So yeah, I hope there's a new iteration. Paul, what about you? What's your fail?
Oh, me next. Okay. My fail is like I just feel like I have a responsibility to offer this perspective because it is not offered. Anytime Rocky Flats comes up, the coverage is always so slanted towards these activists who have been hating this place for 60 years, the first 40 of which, I agree, they were right. It was a nuclear weapons plant just outside of Denver, between Denver and Boulder. It was run very poorly. It was secretive. It was sloppy. It was messy. I agree. But then there was a $7 billion cleanup, and they reopened it as a wildlife refuge, and it is a beautiful asset for the community we should be embracing. The news this week is from the Westminster Window, who reported that the town of Westminster and Boulder County have put up very scary yellow and black signs that say, "The Rocky Flats plant leaked plutonium and hazardous materials onto the land and into the water. Hikers, bikers, and equestrians are encouraged to make informed decisions before entering the refuge." I would like to encourage the town of Westminster and Boulder County to do their own research before they put up the sign. What are you doing? This is some comment board shit you're putting up on official public signs? Please. What are you talking about? Encouraged to make informed decisions before entering the refuge. That's your job. And you know what you do if you ask any of the people who know anything about this? They'll say it is pretty dang safe. Pretty good cleanup. Risks are pretty tiny.
Would you buy a house over there?
Any day.
Okay.
Any day.
All right.
Any day. I did my research. I know what's going on. This is ridiculous.
Paul's a Rocky Flats.
Sorry, I get really fired up about it still. It really bugs me.
The wildest Colorado hill to die on, but I admire you for having one so wild. It's a big one.
If I do die of lung cancer,
which is what folks with exposure to plutonium die of.
It'll be a bad look.
Well, you're gonna have to quit that pack-a-day habit you already have, Paul.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
Chris, your fail. You want to go?
Yeah. So my fail is Excel's Transformers. I'm sure you guys remember earlier this week, one of our lovely utility companies, Transformers, blew up and took out power to all of like Southeast Denver. And that included 2 of our light rail lines that stopped working. And, it's always fun when, unfortunately, other people's infrastructure causes your infrastructure to go down. And of course, they still blame you for it. The downside of running
That's RTD's PR problem. It's an ongoing one.
But, how hard, I don't know anything about electricity, but like how hard is it to keep your infrastructure up? Just like.
How hard is it to keep infrastructure up of a large network?
Seems hard.
Of maybe buses and trains or power.
Yeah. But yes, that was unfortunate for all the people who couldn't, watch TV or get around or do all of the things that we normally do. So,
when the power goes out, then the internet goes out at our houses, we can't make this podcast.
Yep.
I've been really grumpy about my internet lately, actually. I got switched over. I forget, CenturyLink got bought by Quantum Fiber. I don't know if this happened to anyone else, but the Quantum Fiber people, I do not like them.
I've never had good internet, so it's a racket.
That's fair.
Yep.
God, my heart's still racing from that Rocky
Well,
Flats
do you need to
stuff.
take a deep breath?
Go see your cardiologist.
Wins? Who wants to start with a win? Chris,
I'll
go ahead.
So my win is Senator William Linstead for correctly pronouncing the name of the new representative from Broomfield, Kenny Van Wen, who's the first Vietnamese American member of the state legislature ever. First ever. In fact, now is the highest ranking, as far as I understand it.
Win for them
American.
too. That's cool.
There you go.
Wow.
And unfortunately, not every state legislator had an easy time with that. It's coming from California, where we have a very large East Asian population. We don't hear in Colorado, and so a lot of people were still learning how to do that. But Kenny's been doing a great job. He's a phenomenal state representative, young guy, and really excited for him. So
that's cool. That's a good one. I mean, that stuff can be. I'd like to see a supercut of those. I'm sure there's like video on the TV. Yeah.
Nguyen.
Yeah. See how people are doing. Do you want to go next, Brie, or should I?
You go.
Okay. Mine is an update on I'm calling this a win, but it's also kind of a fail, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's just, we talked about this guy, like, I think 2 years ago, Devon Williams.
Oh my God, I did see this.
Was this yours too? Okay. So
no, it wasn't mine, but I did enjoy this.
All right. So
this outcome of this story.
It's so good. Yeah. Devon Williams ran for school board in Englewood. He ran unopposed, and so he won his seat, despite being outed on the campaign trail as a twice convicted felon, who was at the time wanted for another alleged crime.
For being a janky party promoter, I thought was part of it.
Among other things, yeah. So just quite a character, but he, I guess, has been serving on the school board since that election. And I guess he got bored of it because he stopped showing up to meetings. He missed 4 meetings in a row. And then, according to the Littleton Independent, the rest of the board booted him from his seat, which I guess they can do if you're absent too much. The win goes to the Arapahoe District Court judge who denied his request to block his expulsion. So he is no longer on the school board.
Why is he so dead set on this weird random job that, like, I mean, I have a kid in a school system. I understand. He doesn't even have kids in the school system. Like, why does he care? He's not a teacher. Like, I don't know.
People pursue these lower offices as a launch pad for political careers. You have these delusions of grandeur. You're gonna be.
We've
someone.
seen more insane people be elected, so he may have just been on the right path.
No. I will say I envy that school board. RTD does not have the power to boot. The board does not have the power to boot a colleague. The only way to do it is with a recall, which of course never happens. So
I can't even imagine trying to get people out to vote on a recall for that.
You want me to recall someone who I've never heard of for an office that I
didn't even know I voted for?
I didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
Do people not show up?
Tell us
historically, there have been board members who didn't show up for a while.
Like who? Just say like who.
That would be impolite of me to refer.
You'll have to check the minutes on that.
But
Paul.
accountability. This is the thing: is accountability is a good thing.
Yeah. So name names.
I'm too nice of a human being to do that. The voters can look it up and figure it out for themselves.
Okay. Bree, your win.
Leo Tangoma has a opening tonight at United Methodist Church in Lakewood in their Genesis Gallery. And I bring this up because he is the artist that most folks know of his murals that are in DIA, not always displayed. I've been thinking about it since we did this whole episode of going sort of behind the scenes at DIA. And Children of the World Dream of Peace and Peace and Harmony with Nature are his two big murals that people know about, but they're connected to these conspiracy theories. And it's been kind of rough on his career. And so I would love to see folks go out and support him now. He's currently, you can be able to see a mural that's in progress that he's working on called Democracy versus Fascism. So I would just love to see people support him because the conspiracy theories have not helped him. And he makes incredible work that tell these really detailed stories that don't get the nuance I think they deserve sometimes. And so I just saw that he was actually having an opening so you could go out and see his work in a different context. And I would just encourage folks to go do that. Go see Leo's work.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the show notes.
What kind of art? What is it? Paintings? Is it?
Yeah, it's paintings. And then again, maybe a piece of the mural that he's working on. I'm not quite sure how he's doing it, but I haven't seen any of it quite yet. But I just think he deserves our attention in a different way. So.
Well, I think that's the show. Chris Nicholson, thanks for joining us.
Happy to be here.
See you next time, Bree.
Thanks, guys.
Well, that's all for the week here on CityCast Denver. Our producers this week were Olivia Jewel Love, Laura Satsui, Lizzie Goldsmith, and me, Paul Caroli. We recorded the Dude IDK Studios in 5 Points with support from Jacob Rupp and Nick Holmby. Peyton Garcia and Adrian Gonzalez write our morning newsletter, Hey Denver. Abby Madigan runs our social media. Bree Davies is our host. Our music is by Los Mocochetes, with additional mixing by Tyler Lindgren. If you haven't already, subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram at CityCast Denver. And tell State Senators Matt Ball and Julie Gonzalez that we saw the Instagram video in response to the call out earlier this week. And hey,
that made us feel pretty cool. Thanks.
What?
They listened to the show and they were telling people to listen to it.
Well, because
you brought it up.
Thanks to all the new neighbors who've joined our membership program. You too can support the show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Denver neighbor today at membership.citycast.fm. Sign up for the daily newsletter I mentioned and learn more about us at denver.citycast.fm, and see you next week.
Did you know CityCast Denver has a perks program? Every week, we're highlighting some standout deals from our favorite businesses in town to help you support local and save some money. It's a win-win. Here are some highlights from this week. Check out Meow Wolf's Adultiverse Space Rodeo on January 17th and experience the worlds of Meow Wolf Denver transformed into a 21 and up psychedelic party. Saddle up for an intergalactic adventure. Just use code GIDDYUP for $4.20 off an Adultiverse ticket. Offer available for redemption now through January 17th. Or what about Topo Designs? Just visit a Topo Designs retail store and mention this ad to receive 20% off your purchase. Some exclusions apply. Valid until February 1st. Looking for some fun? Check out Green Door and pre-order a curated cannabis box for your Denver trip. Includes edibles, snacks, and local accessories. Ready for pickup near your stay. No stress, no lines, just a better trip. Use code DenverPerk for $10 off any experience box. To see a full list of participating businesses, just visit denver.citycast.fm/perks. It's a great way to check out new restaurants, shops, and events in the Mile High City without breaking your budget. And I love that for you.